Hello, and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Martin O'Neill. At the Monroe County Election Board meeting on October 3rd, County Clerk Nicole Brown began by sharing important dates she wants the public to be aware of.
October 7th is the last day that you can register to vote prior to early voting starting, which leads to October 8th, the first day of early and in-person voting that begins in Monroe County. Of course, I'm sorry for the
registration. Is it
deadline
by noon
to
or is it
register.
the end of the day?
You have to have requested by 11:59 to register to vote.
11:59 on line,
October.
and then 4 o'clock closing in our office.
Thank you.
So that, I'm sorry. That leads me to the first day of early voting, October 8th. Early voting is at the Election Operations, also known as the old Napa Building, 302 South Walnut. And we have previously released the early voting dates and times. October 15th is the deadline for our voter registration office to receive and process a mail-in voter registration form. October 17th is the first day of travel board. October 24th is the last day to apply for a mail ballot. That it must be
It must be received in the office that day.
by the 24th. That makes sense. So the 15th is the last day that you can ask for one. The 24th is the last date that it must be received.
Yes, correct.
Thank you. No, but I'm looking at IEDs and yours.
You're fine.
Thank you, sorry. Okay, November 2nd is the first, October 26th is the first of 2 Saturdays where all counties in Indiana must be open for early voting. November 2nd is the second of the 2 Saturdays where all Indiana counties must be open for early voting. November 4th, we have multiple deadlines, including noon to receive the federal postcard application requesting an email or mailed ballot, and early voting ends at noon on the 4th. And then, of course, November 5th is Election Day. All ballots must be in our office by 6 p.m. to be counted, including mail ballots. And then November 15th is Provisional Ballot Day, and that begins at 12:01. So if you have been issued a provisional ballot, you have until 12:01, until noon, because our meeting starts at 12:01, to cure any provisional ballot that was issued.
Brown also shared a press release regarding 4 early voting ballot printing errors.
I want to make the board aware of a ballot printing error that occurred. We have issued a press release for it, and I want to read that into the minutes. Prior to the September 21st, 2024 federally mandated ballot, the Monroe County Clerk's Office mailed out 1,969 absentee, military, and overseas ballots. We are incredibly grateful to not only the Monroe County employees who stepped up to help us, but also our overseas military and absentee workers who assisted in the Herculean effort to meet that federal deadline. On October 1st, 2024, we were notified of 4 absentee ballots that contained a printing error. Staff went to work immediately to resolve the issue by correcting and reprinting the affected ballots. Those 4 voters were notified by mail that they were entitled to cast a new ballot with the correction made. Because the issue was swiftly remedied and contained only those 4 voters, we anticipate no further issues or reports of the ballot printing or any reports of ballot printing errors. We notified the election board as well as the Indiana Election Division of the error and reported that the issue was quickly resolved.
The Monroe County Election Board will meet again on December 5th. At their meeting on October 2nd, Attorney Jeff Cockrell updated the Monroe County Commissioners on the proposed Vernal Pike site for the Monroe County Jail. saying VET Environmental needs to do a wetlands report on the property. Vernal Pike site is the second option to the North Park property for the new jail. In September, Julie Thomas said the Vernal Pike property was out of contention because it would require testing, reports, and annexation. However, the city is continuing to hold the site as an option. Cockrell said that the property needs to be tested before November or it will have to be pushed back until spring.
They want to do a wetlands report, and that has to be completed by November because the foliage has to be there in order for them to do their waterways and wetlands report.
The cost of the tests will be $7,464.48. Cockrell proposed the test funding to be considered an emergency item. Later, Thomas reminded everyone that voter registration is open until October 7th, and early voting begins October 8th. She emphasized the importance of voting, especially in this election.
This is a consequential election, as everyone is, but this seems even more so than ever. So we do encourage people to make sure you register to vote, and if you need to register, do so very, very quickly.
Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. The next Monroe County Commissioners meeting will be on October 9th. At their meeting on October 1st, the Bloomington City Council considered an ordinance to establish a conservation district in the Green Acres neighborhood. City Clerk Nicole Bolden introduced the ordinance.
Ordinance 2024-18 to amend Title 8 of the Bloomington Municipal Code entitled Historic Preservation and Protection to establish a historic district regarding Green Acres Conservation District. The synopsis is as follows. This ordinance amends the list of designated historic districts in Chapter 8.20 of the Bloomington Municipal Code by establishing the Green Acres Conservation District. In recommending this designation, the Bloomington Historic Preservation Commission held a public hearing and submitted a map and accompanying report to the council. The map sets forth the boundaries of the district and classification of buildings within the district. The report demonstrates how this district meets the necessary criteria. At the end of 3 years after adoption of this ordinance, this conservation district will elevate into a full historic district unless within 180 and 60 days before that date, a majority of the property owners provide the Historic Preservation Commission with written objections to the elevation. Council President Isabel Piedmont Smith asked for clarification on the letter the council received from the Green Acres Historic Designation Committee, withdrawing the petition. Deputy Attorney Ash Kulak responded saying that the petitioner emailed to say they could not attend in person, but staff would summarize the letter on their behalf.
We got an email just a little bit after 6. The petitioner is not able to attend due to illness, but I think city staff is here and can walk over the gist of the letter.
Historic Preservation Conservation Program Manager Noah Sandweiss shared the petitioner's letter of withdrawal.
Yesterday, the petitioners from the Green Acres Conservation District Development Committee submitted a letter to myself and to City Council requesting the withdrawal of the proposed map that was sent by the Historic Preservation Commission to City Council. Since the petitioners are not present, I'll read the letter that they sent. To the Bloomington City Council, we are writing to formally withdraw our application for a conservation district in the Green Acres neighborhood at this time. The decision comes after much reflection on the current circumstances, with the goal of building broader consensus and strengthening our case for the future. Please know that this is not a retreat, but rather a strategic step to ensure that we can ultimately protect our neighborhood, as outlined in the city's comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan clearly states that preserving modest housing is imperative to solving the housing crisis, and we are committed to aligning our efforts with that vision. Our neighborhood is home to historic and cultural assets that we believe must be safeguarded for future generations. And we will continue to work to achieve this important goal. While we recognize that the council is unlikely to support our application at this time, we are cognizant of the complex issues surrounding this proposal. However, we remain steadfast in our dedication to protecting our community's character, heritage, and modest housing, and will go forward with our efforts despite this temporary withdrawal. In the coming months, we look forward to engaging with each of you to explore points of common ground and mutual understanding, We are eager to find solutions that benefit both the neighborhood and the broader city, and we believe that together we can develop a plan that reflects our shared values. Please know that we will be back, and we remain hopeful that future discussions will lead to a positive outcome for the Green Acres neighborhood. Thank you for your time and consideration. We look forward to continuing this dialogue and working with you toward a solution that benefits all. Sincerely, Dr. Lois Sabo-Skelton, Chair of the Green Acres Conservation District Development Committee. So at this point, my understanding is that the City Council still has to make a vote on the map that was submitted on whether to approve or to reject.
The council voted to deny the amendment, which would have established the Conservation District. During the October 1st Monroe County Plan Commission County Development Ordinance hearing, dozens of Monroe County residents offered input and public comments on the proposed plan. Monroe County resident Janet Conder said that the 25-year moratorium on subdividing properties is not fair to those who wish to give plots of land to the next generation of their families, or to new buyers who want to live in Monroe County but can't afford an excessive amount of land.
This is Janet and Dallas Conder. We're lifelong residents of Monroe County and live outside the city and the country. We did not speak at the first meeting. Dallas is a fourth-generation farmer, and we've raised the fifth generation on our farm, and the sixth generation is learning and growing up on the same farm. We would like to support the amount of acreage to be divided for sale to building a home brought down to 5 acres or even below. We would like to see the stipulation of having to wait 25 years to subdivide land again to end. The way it is now, I would have to give more land than my child wants to be able to build a home and stay on the farmland that they grew up on than they want. And my grandchildren will have to wait 25 years to be able to have a small piece of land to build on that generational farm. That's not fair to them. Our family has worked hard over the many years to keep agriculture alive. You will not find a better steward of the land than a farmer. Dallas is a senior supervisor of the Monroe County Soil and Water, has been on the board for almost 20 years. Soil erosion is important to us and the community. Monroe County is no longer known as an agricultural county. The state conventions that he has attended refer Monroe County as a rural county. There is so much land wasted because of rules and stipulations that have been made in the past few years. Making a young person buy more than an acre to build their dream home is a waste of farmland. If you make them buy excess land, what are they going to do with it? It's not fair to make a young person, maybe fresh out of college, to buy a large quantity of land to put a home on. They can't afford it. We are totally in favor of affordable housing. Even the majority of your local farmers have supplemental income, such as their wives may have an outside job, like myself. Farming is expensive, and farmers don't waste the land they are responsible for. We are good stewards of the land. We raise cattle on our farm and take wonderful care of our cattle. It doesn't seem fair that our property taxes continue to increase and the stipulations of what we can do with our land also continues to increase. We ask that before making any final decisions, please reach out to the local Soil and Water Board, Farm Bureau Incorporated, the Board of Realtors, and Purdue. They are the real experts here. Thank you.
Lauren Wood, a board member for Habitat for Humanity, said current zoning restrictions in the CDO are driving up land costs and negatively affecting the development of affordable housing. Emily Avers, an employee in Monroe County, also highlighted issues of affordable housing.
My name is Emily Avers. I live, work, and recreate in Monroe County. I did not speak last week. I grew up in the country in Monroe County. My husband grew up in the country in Monroe County. Both of us have had family living in Monroe County for generations. My family has been in the county since 1865. You've heard a lot last week and tonight about the lack of affordable housing in Monroe County and how young working people are moving outside the county because there is no housing they can afford within the county limits. Until recently, my husband and I were part of that demographic. We are both working professionals. We make a decent income, but we could not afford to buy property in Monroe County. We were privileged to be able to return after a death in his family gave us access to affordable property. This was truly a privilege because of the hard work of his grandparents and great-grandparents on their farm of over 100 years, but it's not a sustainable path to housing affordability for most people. Like many farming families, his family has split parcels from the farm to keep the land in the family. Removing the 25-year requirement would allow these rural families who are deeply committed to their land to keep the properties in their families. Designating more properties as residential, especially around the large arterial roads that cross the county, would allow additional development in a more sustainable pattern than the requirement of large plats of land. We have additional requirements and restrictions to manage environmental concerns, including the grade of the property, watersheds, and karst features that make up so much of the county. Let's not add additional burdens on top of these environmental considerations wherever it makes sense to do so. Updating the CDO gives you the opportunity to address an existing problem. Instead, it seems you're doubling down on the same restrictions that put us in this situation in the first place. Please take seriously this chance to make Monroe County accessible to the people who are already here, as well as to the people who would like to be here. Look at the reasons working people are moving out of the county and taking their income tax dollars to other counties, and consider the ways the new CDO could better reflect the ways the county has been developed since the Monroe County Comprehensive Plan was developed over a decade ago, so we can continue to grow our county sustainably. We need to retain and attract working people and families and businesses so Monroe County can continue to provide the wonderful quality of life we all want to protect. Thank you.
The Monroe County Plan Commission continued the hearing to October 19th, where public comments will be closed, but written testimony will be allowed until Sunday, October 6th at 5 p.m. And that's all for CATSweek. Thanks for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Martin O'Neill.